Welcome back, everyone. Week number 7, day number 2, going into the final series of the week. We're here in the LCS Academy Summer Split, and I'm Mazel, joined by Rebel Fox. We're going to be diving straight in to TSM Academy versus FlyQuest Academy.
Yeah, should be an extremely exciting matchup, only because now FlyQuest, they got tested yesterday. They're coming out with a new top laner, things like that, all these new moving parts, and TSM still one of the teams that is in that fight for that 6th place spot, and it did not get any easier with EG just taking that 2-0. No, it did not.
I was just about to say, like, the dream was there. Now you gotta work a little bit more for that dream here for TSMA. A good 2-0 would be wonderful to start them off here in that run to the final weeks. But as we see the rosters come up onto your screen, the TSMA roster, a little bit of finickiness in that mid lane, a little bit of change right now, but Sword is going to be starting apparently. And then on the other side, we did just have that influx of the LCS players come in, but they're starting to find their own graces and ground in Academy.
Yeah. There's nothing more exciting about covering FlyQuest than getting to talk about Jose Dioto and finally getting to use my frog memes, because I have a bunch of them that I get to carry over from the VCS, because there's a player named Froggy there, so I'm gonna have a bunch of those ready for broadcast. But yeah, these two teams are extremely, they're extremely good. TSM, I'm still trying to decide on whether they're really good and they've had some slumps, or whether they're not good and that they've just been confused. It's kind of their play is really kind of alters on a day-to-day basis, and it makes it frustrating to try to understand them. Do notice that Sword is starting today. Yesterday they had takeover start, Sword swapped in. Today they're having Sword start, takeover swap in. I know yesterday Cubby also made the prediction that Karma could be played. It was the first time they'd really run any sort of enchanter at all across the entire split of Academy here, and so now Sword has that option behind him to play that Karma and really be that support for the remainder of the team as well when he's inside this lineup.
Yeah, see if the bans come through for the double enchanters that we all know and love, or maybe not love necessarily, but we are neck deep into picks and bans here. TSM Academy on blue, FlyQuest Academy on the red over there. Ziggs banned away by TSMA, as well as the LeBlanc. On the other side, Zin's out. Gwyn, the final ban for TSM, is that Aurelia?
Yeah, making sure that's not going to come through. And I think, again, my curiosity comes to Aurelia for TSM blue side is who plays it? I think Takeover is probably the most likely. So without him in, they're like, okay, we're going to get rid of that champion, make sure it's not going to come through. Not giving it over to either Philip or Palafox here as those two primary members of that. Talking about Philip, too, because he's stepping in from Amateur after a little bit of a hiatus. Didn't see him ever. Now stepping into Academy, had his first win yesterday. I think it looked a lot better when he was comfortable yesterday on the likes of the Wukong, and that's something that I really look forward to potentially having, because that's one of the comfort picks he was good at back in the day as well, and I'm curious if they come back to it again.
We get the first lock-in of Hanser getting the Lee Sin in here. I do really appreciate the fact that we get
he's keeping us on
the way and to start us off for TSM. I think this is a good leaping off point for the rest of their composition. You do have to think that there's some flexibility in that aspect of it for TSM, and on the other side maybe trying to get some more tried champions as the Viego comes through already for FlyQuest.
Yeah, it is. I was excited maybe the Fiddlesticks would come through. Yeah, I like this for TSM Academy because, again, Hanser can play it, and then also Hyper is very good at the likes of the Lee Sin. This comes from even back in his time during Amateur and everything on his lead up to everything else, as being that Lee Sin player that can make plays across the map. And we've seen how good it's been in Academy all day, all week, in fact, for players who attack the opposing jungler. This is an interesting grab, too, because, again, with Takeover in the game, this is flexible. I think this is pretty much just a Hanser grab at this point. So now I'm almost purely expecting this to be Renekton top lane, Lee Sin in the jungle, and then this is one of the very few teams that prioritizes Kai'Sa this heavily, and especially after they saw the engage coming out from the likes of the Kalista, I'm really terrified for the prospects of this Kai'Sa in the laning phase, especially if you double down and give Mr. Tuki himself this insanely good engage champion with all of this burst to pair with the engage that already has in the Kalista's back pocket.
I got to give a special shout out to Hyper's Lee Sin, though. It is a mean monster. We've seen it through Amateur in the past, and see maybe if that kind of performance can come through this time around against the likes of Jose Dioto, who's been so consistently good. They get the Diana lock in, so a lot of that early skirmishing, a lot of that setup for the rest of the team as well.
That it is. We haven't seen, importantly, supports, and this was something we wanted to highlight because the combination of these two can make impacts around the map. The laning phase is also really big. Yursan's been amazing for the side of TSM. It has some really highlight plays, and Dreams is the exact same way after stepping down into this role here on FlyQuest Academy. Made a bunch of noise yesterday with all the roaming that had happened during the first games, and so it's really cool to see that these are two supports that are going to make a massive impact across the map for the most part, and they're saving these pools for these two supports, knowing that there's some of the more important members to actually pick for. That's why you're seeing also the bans coming through denying Yursan, like the Alistar and the Set, some powerful picks for that bottom lane.
And I love that you're talking about the sports, because I think it does play into our big focuses for both these teams, right? It is that jungle main as like focus on getting the catalyst started for either one of these teams, but it's how does the rest of the map come into play, and especially how these supports come into play with the synergies in the jungle, and as you said, you know, getting all that early momentum for themselves. Now the Set Alistar ban away by FlyQuest, definitely targeting some of that support pool. On the other side though, you get more solo lane focus with the Lucian and the Sylas ban away.
Yeah, and you're going to see Dreams could blind here only because there's a bunch of possibility to flex Viego around between the two solo lanes at the moment, and they want to protect that. So they're saying, okay, we'll pick Leona. We've banned out stuff that we don't like into it. Pick as you please right here. Nautilus is something that comes to mind because that's one of Yursan's most played champions. Thresh also apparently is also available. You can fit that in alongside
apparently
Kai'Sa as well.
There's like a sixth ban in here somewhere. Yeah, Thresh is banned away.
No, Thresh here. It's like the first time I think we've seen it all day. I think it was first rotation banned every single game of the day. Okay, be a double rotation.
So the Kai'Sa Nautilus is just super ridiculous with the amount of CC that you can have with the void stacks as well, or the plasma stacks rather. And I really appreciate the Rise coming out again. Second time we've gotten to see it today.
And also the second time TSM's played it in the last 2 days, although yesterday it was Takeover who pulled it. So now we're getting to see the exact comparison of Sword's Rise versus Takeover's Rise of the Interest. Yes. But we saved the spice for the last moment. Yone has been known as like a mage counter directly into a number of different matchups. And we haven't seen it too much because mages have kind of fallen out of favor. But here we are, now that Rise has riven back into like a place where it feels like now we're even getting blind picks on blue side with the Rise comparative to something like Orianna that would normally fit into that slot. Yone pops back out for these aggressive playmaking mid laners, and Palafox wants that smoke against Sword here.
Yeah, he does, and especially with the rest of the combination, you have Jose Diodo on this proactive jungler on the Diana needing to get ahead. That combination is ruthless, and you start bringing the rest of the pieces alongside it. FlyQuest Academy are super set up in this game, but I also want to talk about the other side, right? You're getting Sword's Rise. You're getting this Renekton at the top for Hanser. A lot of onus on Hyper himself to get the team ahead.
There's a good amount of CC to operate with the Lee Sin to try to get ahead. I also know yesterday we were talking to the duo who covered yesterday, which is Cubby and Rafa, who bless their hearts lost the series today to cast on the opposite stream, which is really unfortunate. So go give them praise if you can, because they were prepared for everything. But they described how Hyper was hovering over top of the side lane Rise yesterday. It was Takeover at the time to try to get themselves back into a game that they were down in. And you know that Hyper's coverage of specifically those instances is what helped this Rise really get into place. So you know those resources will be there for Sword to get into this game if you fall out of favor. I do have that worry though now, because you have Jose Diodo on the ability to force into a side lane, and then also Palafox and Viego, who are both ruthless in side lanes in the right situation to force on the Rise as well. That if Sword isn't doing well early or doesn't have like an immediate frozen heart, which almost certainly needs to come out on this Rise this game, then you're going to have problems in the side lane whether you have the cover or not.
Well, we are in the thick of it now. Game number 1 between TSM Academy and FlyQuest Academy starting now. Big focus on the jungle pathing. How can the synergies line up across the board here? And then more importantly, how can this absolute Chad draft from FlyQuest find their graces early on?
We see immediate play from this bottom lane. They're not having any of it. They try to like this is one of the coolest things about the most recent like patches that I've seen in the last 2 of them, like 11-14, 11-13, even into 11-12. This priority for this bot mid brush has just been absurd. We've seen
it's the one time we get action in bot lane. All right, Rebel, give us the one.
We get it into immediately, which is kind of crazy too, as both teams just want to just like fight for it almost immediately. As you're seeing now, a hook in immediately to find onto Dreams. It's not going to accomplish too much, but it's them trying to get this level 2 as fast as possible out of fear that, again, Johnson and Dreams at level 2, if they hit it first, they could try and all in into Cody's son if he's not prepared for it.
Yeah, that early Kalista damage is super big, especially when you can stack up the CC on top of that and then just rip those stacks out at the end. Gets a little bit scary. Now we do see, I want to check it on the map here. Junglers both up towards this top side of the map at the moment, maybe pathing down towards bot, but it looks like they actually went both for full clears.
I'm actually really interested to see what happens here from Lee Sin, because like you said, they're on full clear pathing. It was full blue into red, which is interesting because it's usually you see red into full blue for Lee Sin right now as like the most common clear path or one of the more common clear paths that you come out with. And that's intended so that you can affect top side if you're on blue side, or I guess like bottom side if you're on the opposite side. But here he went full blue into red, and it is full clear like you said. But if he had gone directly to red, it's a very fast way to get both your red buff and end on the opposite side of the map that Lee Sin would typically end up on to try to find some aggression. So not going to be the case. Instead is going for the full clear, might run head first into the likes of this Diana, and we've seen that play. I do believe that Lee Sin most of the time will take that, especially with pushing bot and pushing mid to support it.
Yeah, so the decision here now is from Hyper to just forego the bot side because they know the Scuttle Crab is going to be for contest down there against Jose Diodo. Also just skips the Krugs, goes straight to the other side Scuttle so that he can ensure to get at least a little bit of vision control in the top side.
Absolutely. And they have, it was a quick back from Philip, and I think that's what prompted it, where it's Philip slammed some waves in early, had to take a quick back. I'm not sure if it was because of health or because he wanted to find a cheater into this call. Oh, actually, oh wow.
Hyper wrapped around there after getting the Scuttle Crab. Also got Palafox's flash, so that's definitely got to be revisited.
That's a cost of the immediate play that had come through. Again, because you're expecting Hyper, who cleared from top to bottom, isn't always the most expected clear path. You would have expected him to go from red into top side into top Scuttle, so that was expected anyway. He went cross map because of the back from Philip, which allowed him to wrap around and find this play onto the likes of Yone, who apparently wasn't expecting to be on that top side one way or the other, which it was, I think, even in standard peering, if you go red into full blue side, you should have expected him from that top side river. So I think Palafox just with a little bit of a slip up.
Hyper looking for something bot as your son
wave.
burned the flash. They get the dredge line on top of it as well. Dreams is still in some trouble here. Flash out. The health bar's so low, but not going to go down. Early aggression from TSM Academy.
This champion, man, these hooks, man, what in the world?
It don't stop because it can't stop, dude.
He snuck it around the Leona to grab onto Johnson, forces every summoner out of this bottom lane just to make sure that they can even get away. Now, in fairness, they also burnt every summoner and the flash off of Lee Sin and got nothing for it, and their wave is stacked, just going to shove into them with like basically the exact same. So if Kaiser were catching this definitively, it would be something else. The wave is going to get ruined. It should be Johnson who can come back, crash it, and then it's Kaiser there to catch. But still, that was a lot of resources burnt in a very aggressive play off the back of that hook from Yursan. He is amazing at this Nautilus, by the way. That's like the #1 champion.
By the way.
You can see him with that hook is not a high percentage hook. That's like a 1% hook that he just nailed easily.
Super nice early on from the TSM Academy members, just at least getting some action on the map, trying to look for those forward-thinking plays as you are still waiting for Jose Diodo to really feel active on the map. It does look like they're going to put a little bit of focus down towards this dragon as FlyQuest Academy looking to take the first objective of the game.
Yeah, we haven't quite seen the early aggression that can come out, but at level 6, I'm sure that immediately the frog becomes unclogged here for the likes of Jose Diodo as he wants to get aggressive as much as possible.
Okay, Hyper.
Oh, Hyper?
Oh my god, that was so close. The ward hop out gets Hyper to safety.
He's been trying to apply a bunch of pressure here inside of these lanes to get them advantages, which has worked in some cases, because you look at, like, mid lane is usually going to be good for Yone, especially once level 6 hits, but having to burn resources early does help that out. This right here for Hunter, he's going to be able to shove in, forces a Bramble best buy because you don't have all of this gold to work with. Philip isn't able to just sit up here and do nothing, and that allows Hunter to have more control of this lane as well. And then bottom lane they tried to force, and you see the amount of minions that were caught by Cody's son is just absurd to give an advantage. It's like 2 waves, my apologies, against Johnson. So all of these advantages are low, and you're seeing it cost Hyper minions. But he is making an impact even though no kills have come through. Now it's Jose Diodo's turn with the level 6.
Oh, Fate sealed on top of it. Sword is just dead. First blood to Jose Diodo.
And that's exactly what you want to see from the Diana, because again, Hyper's had all the fun ganking this game. Now the level 6 is here, gets to pair alongside the CC that comes in from the Yone, and Sword Slash just means absolutely nothing, can't get him into safety whatsoever, gets chased down, and that's a kill onto the Diana, even better for some of the early pressure that can be applied.
What a play early on. We were talking about maybe not getting that aggressive start. FlyQuest, they respond in kind as TSM Academy will go down early on. Just beautiful toggle there to show us the vision and show us the doom that happened to Sword.
Yep. Both ultimates used right there, and the even better part is like Flash wasn't burnt by Jose Diodo either. He didn't need it. He could have just even reset his E and followed him, and that's exactly what he did. And because of that, that means his Flash is available for the next time the moon falls up, which is even more terrifying if like any of those summoners end up getting burnt anywhere else, as the lane gags coming in just to crash the wave for Philip, helping out this young addition to the roster for FlyQuest here in their academy team.
Gotta give all your members some comfort here, and he's maybe feeling a little in some trouble. Hyper looking for the advanced placement here.
Sword.
The Realm Warp comes in too. He's got the kick, but he doesn't have the direction to kick back. Hyper, you're too good. You're too good. But can he escape? I don't think it's going to happen. Philip gets the Heartbreaker, gets the reset, and now gets out with a nice ward hop.
What an amazing little play right there from Hyper, where like, okay, so Jose Diodo is trying to take this right pathing. Not only does he wait out the wrap around the corner for vision, but he also waits out the flash to make sure he has positioning. I think he was 1 or 2 steps off of missing that angle that Jose Diodo would have been able to catch in order to get away. But Hyper, what a play on this Lee Sin to find this. I want to break this back down because again, Q lands here, waits for Sword, and also waits the flash before the Q. Then this right here, 1 step to the left or right would have ruined that angle because of the minions, but instead Sword gets dropped right on top of with the likes of the Jose Diodo. And yes, you get responded to by Philip, so it costs life, it's 1 for 1, but you do get something back for your rise. Hyper is doing his best to help his lanes out as much as he can right now.
And that's what I wanted to hone back in on, is like we talked a little bit about it in the draft and leading up to the draft, that like you want to continue to push as TSM Academy. You need to continue to push, especially with EGA getting those 2 wins today. The game matters so much. You've
got fighting here between Hunter and Philip. Hunter is winning this one. Can he actually get it? Okay. Oh, it was about as close as it possibly could have been right there between Hunter and Bramblevest, nearly costing the existence, but it's not going to end up mattering too much, as now bot side, or like just top side control in general is owned from TSM, so they're going to be able to walk into Rift Herald Pit and not have too much of a problem here, which is quite nice. Again, Haunter able to win that one-on-one, a lot of it based off of the early pressure that was put on by likes of Hyper, but here, yeah, it's just an execution from Jose Diodo. I think Mr. Mizell is gone, so I'm just going to keep going until he interrupts me at some point. So, contention for this Rift Herald, support from Yursan, though, is the one thing, is he's always able to find, actually both bot laners here are going to be here, as Jose Diodo tries to take it. Viego's also back, so the full fight's going to come through. E-Flash from Dream's not going to get out, as Phillips here as well, as everything's collapsed. FlyQuest really commit heavy to this Rift Herald. I think Hyper might have stolen that in the midst of everything. Able to snag it away.
No. He wasn't. He actually didn't. Jose Diodo got it. Now the re-engage here as well. A lot of damage for the Fate Sealed. It's huge, but Haunter's still got a lot of help. Sword's in an AoE situation, and you've got a Rise doing some serious work right now. The reset's available there for Philip, but he's already dead in the rest.
A lot gets traded over here from the side of FlyQuest. Or from the side of TSM, as they had tried to make the Rift Herald play work, but it's just not going to happen. Now Dream's going to get traded over. I don't know if this is an execute or not. I'm not sure. Yeah, it is actually. Haunter not able to find that one, not going to commit anything to it. And it's just going to be resources pulled off here. TSM fall to this Rift Herald play that had come through. Yes, I think you get something on Nakodi-san, but it is this early advantage that's flying into the pockets of FlyQuest off the back of their jungler. We're gonna get a look at this again. So somewhere in here, the E-Flash came out. Philip gets this like flank on top side, right? And the whole time a flank coming in from Sword, but it's so far out that Hyper goes down. They don't have the Rift Herald at this point. And also TSM just kind of breaks into pieces. There's no really consistent focus for the engage to come out here. I think Philip went down during this, but again, this all sets up a massive play for Palafox to just ruin everything through all things. And while Haunter does trade, Sword ends up just trading. It just ends up being a really positive play for FlyQuest off the back that they had all their members here much faster, and they're able to snag the Rift Herald for some additional gold off the back end of that one.
Yeah, I think that's crucial as well to see like what the next plays are going to be. It's good to see the play out of the rest of that one. But TSM putting a lot of focus towards mid lane right now, and I want to see where Jose Diodo is going to be able to sneak in this Rift Herald at some point, because we got Dragon on the board. You do have some focus here available, at least in objective terms. And it doesn't make FlyQuest feel confident enough to just start it up.
I need to see. Okay, so blue buff's being taken right now by Ryze and by Lee Sin. I don't know if they watched that walk over, but if they knew that was happening right now, they 100% would just blitz bot lane immediately, because it's got 3 plates on it, and they would be able to take. It's actually only got 2 plates, because those minions I think took one down just in the last second, so it would be an immediate take with the Rift Herald. The alternative is I think Palafox getting unlocked and attacking the map would be huge as well. He's engaged. He's everything else is fine. Sword.
Oh, Sword! You're going down to Palafox. He's gonna be able to sneak out as well. And just like that, the Rift Herald down. That's going to be first tower to FlyQuest.
Very long engage range combination between Palafox off the E and the ultimate and into the flash E coming out from Jose Diodo. Means it's so easy to get all of this additional damage and CC into the Ryze. It's impossible to deal with. Ooh. Hyper with a fantastic pick prevents any additional engage, but can't slow down that Rift Herald take of mid tower, as again Jose Diodo continues to push into these lanes. 100% kill participation and able to really accelerate this map a way that Hyper hasn't quite been able to find yet.
They do have the dominance pop from Hanser, as well as some backup from Palafox, and that's Heartbreaker to end his life. Hanser goes down to Philip.
And he does. And now FlyQuest slowly taking over the earlier pressure, or the earlier game of this right now, as they're like starting to transition, where the lanes didn't have enough of an advantage to convert on their own here from the side of TSM. Hyper is now so far behind, he only just finished Goredrinker, and it's an advantage for Jose Diodo by like 30 CS or something crazy like that. And these lanes in top and in mid are both now losing, where the Viego should be able to complete items soon enough here to compete alongside the Goredrinker. And then the mid lane also now, it's going to be in the Gale Force here for Palafox, just chased down in the solo lane against the Ryze, who is not going to be onto that Frozen Heart anytime soon, given that he's going for what looks like either Everfrost or Ludens, and then into what is effectively the Seraphs, and before that armor starts to come in. So right here, this next 10 minutes of the game is going to be tough to deal with from the side of TSM. If they're looking to find some aggression, this is where they need to start getting some gold influx into Kai'Sa and Ryze to really try to carry them through the individual targeting from the dive that Jose Diodo, Philip, Palafox bring, and even Dreams in that regard as well.
And that's what I wanted to focus on, is like you just got to be really worrisome of like we've all seen Yone's just destroy games because of the amount of sustain, the things that he can bring to a team fight, and especially when you get up in the CS, up in the gold for the game, it gets really scary, and you have a lot of that across the board for FlyQuest Academy. And for Hyper, right, on this Lee Sin, he's had some good moments, but it hasn't been the game changer that you want to be. As Palafox making what I was talking about live, you don't need to hear about it. You can just see it live on the Academy channel as Palafox takes down Hanser. Then Hyper gets caught, but a beautiful kick. He doesn't hit the Sonic Wave, but on the other side, Johnson gets the kill. Fate's call not enough, but the flash is for Dreams, as they want Sword's life. That's another kill to Palafox, who is now on a rampage. Give him one more. No! Your song goes golden, saves the day, but one more auto will do it. Oh, he gets it! Your son with the double kill!
He is the beneficiary here for this play that goes disastrously from TSM, because everyone gets brought down in the meantime. While Philip is still pushing on the opposite side of the map, man, there is nothing to slow down FlyQuest anymore, as you're not able to find much. The one thing you got in that fight was the kill for Ryze against the likes of Jose Diodo, but that is bare scrap minimum that you could have gotten during the course of this one, as they are just not powerful enough whatsoever. FlyQuest able to enforce their will inside of the enemy jungle as they please.
The replay of this one, the just going for the gold there. Able to get Cody's son outright. Hyper takes a little bit longer there as he gets the kick out. And it's actually a beautiful play from Sword to stop that engagement that was going to happen, but Johnson just comes in and cleans it up anyways. Yeah, the flash from Dreams, the confidence.
Yeah, the flash Q from Dreams to set that one up, and then Palafox comes over the wall with like a Q at the last second, ends up losing his life to another. It's this one right here, this tower shot.
It's so unfortunate.
Johnson stepped out with a hop too. It's
Yo,
so
your son's just too good. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, your son's simply too good, even though Johnson stepped out of tower range. I think
nobody gets the double buffs, by the way.
It's tough. Yeah, they all go to the immortal tower who holds all of them for all eternity.
Yeah.
But again, this has been immaculate coming out from FlyQuest. Jose Diodo tore through a lot of the early game, helping out support the lanes after he hit that level 6 mark to find aggression, and all of a sudden now, this engage is impossible to deal with. If you are on the side of TSM, you don't have the front line to really soak a bunch of it. You don't have the damage behind yourselves to really win a massive fight when Palafox and Jose Diodo hit you with that combination of ultimates. You're in a really bad spot right now, where this first engage is just going to rip through your team, and there's nothing that can stop it unless you can just not get hit by it, or if you can like flash away at the last second, but that's not always going to be a safety net. If FlyQuest wants to enforce twice during your flash timer, there's nothing you can do about the second one.
And I will say, you know, we're getting they seal the
goodness,
top
Palafox.
against Hansuro, the Realm Warp. Palafox over the wall is going to survive a little bit longer. Jose Diodo wants it over the wall. He's going to save his support. That's huge. No, Jose Diodo commits his life, and he's down. TSM Academy able to make a play out of nothing, seemingly.
And the stopwatch from the Rise is all that's necessary. Hyper
do it,
can't
Hyper.
continue. I don't think he can continue. Yeah, he doesn't quite stay in range for that Q to be reapplied. But yeah, Jose Diodo throws his life in just to try to help protect his laner. Is able to get pulled out eventually. Dreams pulled out by Johnson, but trades that life instead. So, would have had the damage to bring down Sword as well, had that stopwatch not gone through. So tools like that to stall out the engagement are what is necessary for TSM to compete, but you can see just how deadly that can be if you're able to combine some of those. I think Palafox also was the big problem through all of this. The reason eventually the domino that tipped at the beginning that ended with Jose Diodo's death was Palafox going way too aggressive on the Yoda into the Renekton underneath tower.
We do see TSM Academy able to get a tower in top lane as well for Hanser, so feels nice there. I was gonna go into this whole spiel about, you know, 100% objective control for FlyQuest Academy and how they've really, you know, kept a good stranglehold on the map so far. Jose Diodo's been active. You know, they just got a third dragon, and then that happened, so kind of derailed my point. But it's still going to be early objective dominance from FlyQuest Academy.
This is awful to deal with if you're TSM, because normally it's like if there's Cloud Drake on the board, I'm usually okay with like, okay, if you can't win the game off of a fight, or you can't win a fight around Cloud Drake without a miracle happening, don't fight for Cloud Drake, because sometimes it's not useful. This is not a composition you want to give Cloud Drake to. Not only do you use it really well on melee champions because of the move speed, but the bonus like ability to have your ultimates off cooldown on like Diana and Yone to just fish with things that much more often, 20% more often, and Callista even, Leona with a solar flare. You know how aggravating that's gonna be to have to try to disengage from a fight where like you can cast those ultimates sometimes twice during the course of an engagement. It's just not something that you could bear on the side of TSM. I really think they have to stop that from going over, because that might be enough of a boost to get FlyQuest over the finish line when it comes to just forcing team fights in their honor or in their favor.
Yeah, we're getting the split lane focus from FlyQuest Academy. They're going to take down the bot side tower. They were also trying to push the top with Palafox. Not going to be able to do so just yet, but be looking to actually get this Rift Herald down to a second charge. Solar Flare forces out Sword's Flash, and the charge comes down.
You're going to be able to pull a fair amount of health off that bot lane tower, and that now opens up some of the side lane pressure, because you have Palafox and you have Philip, who are able to take these side lanes. Now playing it on, sir!
Oh my god, Hanser, he takes so much damage here. Is it enough? Oh, it's so close! Hanser's health bar is literally nothing on the screen, on the HUD, but it doesn't matter. Palafox doesn't get the kill, and now he's in some trouble. Hanser there to finish it off. Hyper gets the kill.
But you're losing mid lane tower right now. You're giving up other things on the map as TSM continue to try to punish Palafox, who's just kind of manhandling right now some of the side lanes when it comes to like Hanser bullying away at this Renekton pick. But he can't convert. Ends up being like the warp in from the likes of the Rise to find this around. But you lose mid tower. Mid inner is pretty valuable. I know that's probably not something you can hold as it is for the most part. But you don't want to be giving away these structures, because that's more space to work with on the side of FlyQuest that they can use. If you have a lack of vision inside of your own jungle that deep, imagine what Jose Diodo can do. Imagine what Palafox can do out of vision that you just don't get to see coming. That's like foaming at the mouth ready for that kind of engagement.
Definitely is, as we get a little bit of a lull in the action at the moment. We got 2.5 minutes for another dragon. It would be Soul, as you were talking about so highly of earlier, for FlyQuest Academy, but the big focus right now is keeping vision game up around the Baron, not letting any potential plays come through. And Yes, sir. What is goodness gracious?
I was thinking about Baron and how fast this is going to get taken by FlyQuest. Oh my god. They have Callista for confirm. They have Jose Dioto, who's already good at it. And then they have 2 more attack damage carries to rip through that health bar. Baron is so fast for this team.
They're also moving into the enemy jungle here. I thought they were potentially able to catch out Hanser. He's able to get out with a quick slice and dice over the wall, though, as that is a little bit of pressure down bot lane still remaining for FlyQuest Academy, but many members in mid lane also just looking to keep the pressure up as these objectives come down. And we see pings on the Baron pit.
This is so painful. Like, what do you do if you're TSM? Your one option is to fight, because you will get out there. You will get outdone if you give them Cloud Drake. You will lose around most neutral objectives. Look at this. There's 2 members, and it's already like a quarter of a health down. They don't have an ADC here either. This is a top laner. They're adding another in. It's half health. Like, this is... They can't get to this. Even if they knew this was happening, they wouldn't be able to get to it faster. Look how fast that went down.
Yeah, there's nothing that TSM Academy can do as FlyQuest Academy take the Baron. 22 minutes and 40 seconds into the game. They're going to continue to fight. Van Seal onto your son. That's your tank, and he's your front line, and he's gone. Hyper goes golden with a smidgen of health. He'll just die to Philip. And that is a clean up from FlyQuest Academy.
Might just be game here. It is 30-40 seconds left on the 2 carries that are in. At minimum, this is probably going to be inhibitor, and they could split somebody off to also take Dragon when the time comes. And not to mention, they didn't burn... Oh, they did burn all their... I was going to say, maybe they saved 1 ultimate, question mark? Nope, didn't save any of it.
They have some flashes?
They have some flashes. I guess that'll work.
Speaking of, Therese is like, all right, I got one.
They're now out of flashes. They don't have any more engagement.
No, they got Philip. All right, Philip is there.
They got Philip. Yeah, that's their 1 CC move. But again, all they're really concerned with is like the inhibitor. Now that the player members of TSM are back up, they're still on the back foot heavily here to try to make a contest. They're going to try to find something now, though.
Their son has found Dreams. Dreams going low, and Dreams dies to Cody's son. Picks up his 3rd kill of the game. The dredge line not going to connect that time around. Was really close to getting Philip there, but nice little claw back at least from TSM as the Dragon spawns.
This pressure on right now, they don't have need to lose it, okay? Because if they do, if they end up losing off this Dragon as well, these ultimates come off timer so quickly for this team from the side of FlyQuest that there's no chance they can ever find any fight ever again. Because right there, they used 5 ultimates to kill off 2 people, and it got them inhibitor, but you saw that there's no turnaround when you have no flashes, no primary engage, and none of those tools are up. So I do love this from TSM. They press on the gas, and they say, you're not allowed to take this Dragon. We're going to take the Dragon. We're not going to give that over. We're going to play aggressive. And FlyQuest knows, okay, we're not going to mess around. We don't have those tools to fight. We're going to give them the next one because we're still up 9K. FlyQuest clearly in the driver's seat, but TSM at least identifies we can't give over Cloud Drake because that would be miserable to deal with.
Yeah, I think those moments are very important. Cody Suggs is caught out, unfortunately, here. Actually flashes over the wall, but flash return. No, he's kicked away. Hyper with the Guardian wings coming in.
How about that, man? That was some impressive stuff. Not only like the kick coming out from Hyper to defend it, but also that ultimate was like instant from Cody-san. It almost looked like a flash coming over the wall, and the shield was just enough to keep Philip's damage off before the kick had come through. So well played by the TSM bot leader, not having to burn a summoner spell to stay safe. But this Baron buff is impossible to deal with. Inhibitor is down already in the main lane. They're going to lose top inhibitor as well. And a fight is definitely looming, but now the tools are back up for FlyQuest. I sense an incoming engagement that's not going to lead to very much from the side of TSM.
But maybe not. Philip gets engaged upon the depth charge, comes out, buys a lot of time, but on the back line, you've already found one. Palfox is dead. It doesn't matter though, because Dreams is in your head, as that's huge for FlyQuest Academy, as they're looking to close out game number 1 swiftly and cleanly. 25.5 minutes in, FlyQuest Academy are on the board in our 3rd series of the game. Usamano attacks coming in, but they make their names known.
It was a tough team to play against. The number of things that I was looking at from this FlyQuest that works so well when they're ahead is like, wow, they really love to be ahead in this game. And TSM can't find it. They can't find the Rise far enough into the build path. They can't get Kai'Sa far enough in to try to carry them against a very heavy melee composition that loves to engage. And so, like, the early game, I can give some credit to Hyper because he tried to make strikes, and even the ones that didn't work super well still had some effect, but it just was not enough. It was like, you had like 3-4 ganks from Hyper before the first one from Jose Dioto, and none of them got as much as just the first kill from Jose Dioto. So big props to the jungler to start his team off on the right foot, and then for the rest of the team to use all this aggressive engage to really push the pressure against TSM's composition.
Yeah. Jose Dioto's strength shines through. I'm just going to give a slight nod to Hyper. He was on the Lee Sin. Didn't get the early aggression that maybe you typically want to have in the Lee Sin. His utility to the team, though, man. He saved people all game long with those kicks. He was insane. All right, no, but as a whole, you know, decent first game from TSM Academy, but you got to look to changes for game number 2, what you want to look forward to for this team, and how you bounce back after that. Because FlyQuest, as we said, they let one objective go. It was one dragon, but they maintained control over almost the entirety of that game. We'll see what the answer is on the other side of this break, though, as we're going to be going into our last game. So go get some snacks, go get a drink. We'll be right back.